back to Unpack Your Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Perks, and today I'm doing this little intro because we had some technical difficulties happening on this podcast. My camera actually went down towards the beginning, so you're going to see probably a picture of my face during the most of the podcast. Unfortunately, so sorry guys, it just happens, with podcasting errors and stuff. It was my fault. So hopefully next time this won't happen again, but I just want to give you guys a heads up. So tune in this episode. It's really emotional, and you might even hear me cry a little bit. So tune in, guys. This is going to be a good one. Thanks for joining Unpack Your Bag Podcast. See y'all soon. Okay, we're recording. Cool beans. And we're live. We're recording. Anyways, hello guys, welcome back to Unpack Your Bag Podcast. I am your host, Tony Perks. And if this is your first time watching, this is a place dedicated to people in order to unpack the truth, issues, traumas about yourself, and try to figure out what we do and navigate after we unpack this crazy stuff we've been through. We all have traumas. We all have suffering to some degree. So this is a safe place for people to talk about it and actually try to find results. So thank you. I hope you get some great value from this podcast. And today I got my host, Chantel. What's good, G? What's up? How you feeling?
Good, it's Wednesday.
I like your hair.
It's Wednesday.
Your hair looks nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there.
It's not.
Should we go there?
No.
Okay. All right.
We should.
Well, you have nice hair.
We shouldn't. We should just pretend like it's attached to my head and nothing's changed.
Oh, but that would be a lie. It's definitely changed.
Nothing's changed.
Anyways, we're on episode 28. Yeah, 28. I always forget.
We're moving fast.
I know. These episodes are just kind of flying. So, yeah, we're going to talk about mental health. I know it's Mental Health Month, and probably when you see this, it may be over depending on how we're going to schedule this. But I want to dive in more to that because I think we all kind of have mental health issues to some degree.
We be struggling.
Can you agree?
We be struggling. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it depends on what you classify as mental health. I think that people go through things that they don't necessarily think are mental health things, but they are. You know what I mean? Like people's moods fluctuating. Mm-hmm. That's a mental health thing. You know what I'm saying? Feeling anxious. Mm-hmm. It's a mental health thing.
And I think there's a misclassification because I think everyone thinks they're depressed because like you go through something, have hard times in your life where there's things that normally would make you sad. Doesn't mean you have depression because a situation that's warranted to be sad makes you sad for that time period, I
think it's called situational depression. I think that's a thing.
That's what it really was called?
I think it's a thing. I mean, I don't know. I told you I don't know nothing, but I think it's a thing.
Yeah, so maybe it's called situational depression. But I mean, I think it's just normal. Like, you would be sad if you broke your legs in a car accident? I don't see anybody being like, yeah.
Yeah, you would be depressed about that.
Yeah, for a moment. You might,
cool.
So, but I don't think it's, is it depression or just like honestly it's a sad situation that you should be sad about?
I mean, do you have to address it as depression? Like
that's the point. Yeah.
No, probably not. I mean, maybe. I guess it depends on the way that it affects your ability to maneuver through your day to day, right? Like
breaking your legs will affect that for sure.
Okay.
Well, not
Touché.
alive, that would affect,
Touché.
But that was a bad joke.
You right. Cool. I'm
so sorry.
Yeah, I guess breaking your legs would fuck up the way you do your day to day. Yo, I'm gonna stop cussing. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop cussing.
I was gonna talk about that. I forgot to say, but I was like, let's try to minimize the cussing and only cuss at like for when it needs to cuss. I'm
gonna never cuss again.
I want to stop saying the N-word.
I'm gonna do that on this podcast. I'm gonna do that on this podcast because I was watching it and it was getting out of hand for me, and I was like, that's enough.
Somebody told me they're like they told I send them a link to watch the podcast, and like within like 3 minutes of sending the text to them, they're like, it's so much cussing, and I'm like, it's only the intro. They can't be much cussing. Oh my god! Like it was like literally 5 minutes later. He's like, "There's so much cussing." I'm like, "All right. What do you mean?
Let me get my life together. I'm gonna stop cussing. All right, America fans, everybody listening, watching. I'm gonna stop cussing.
Are you gonna stop cussing? I think it just cuss just as you need to. But I think sometimes when we drink, we cuss a little more. It happens. But you see me. I've been cutting back on cussing.
I'm giving it up cold turkey.
Okay, for sure. All right. Every time.
The fact
that's
that
my wife in the background.
I have no support.
Like, I bet you like as soon as you cuss, you owe me $1.
I'm so glad that we're being recorded right now and the people of America can witness the fact that I have no support, that I just set a goal for myself
every time
and nobody in the building supported me. Everybody was just like, yeah, right.
Like every time you cuss, you owe me $1.
That's not supportive.
Yes, it is.
Like, that's not supportive.
Do you want to lose money?
I'm not giving you $1, bro. Like, it don't matter what I say. I'm not giving you no money.
Wow, you don't believe you're not gonna cuss?
I need my money. I'm broke.
You don't believe you're not gonna cuss?
Look, I need my money. I'm just glad that everybody was here to witness the ways in which I don't have any support.
Yeah, you know what? You have support. I'm supporting you by taking your money to make sure you don't cuss. If you lose $1, you ain't gonna cuss.
Nah, bruh. That whole concept that you just presented is making me want to cuss right now. Like, it's making me want to be like, bump that.
If you bet, you wouldn't cuss.
I'm not gonna cuss.
Okay.
I'm not gonna cuss because I said I'm not gonna cuss cold turkey.
All right, we're gonna see viewers. This is my wife coming in.
So are you saying you're not gonna cuss starting like right now at this minute, at this hour?
I'm saying that I haven't been cussing. I said one cuss word. I said effed up. I said it would be effed up. Your life would be effed up if you broke your legs. That was the only cuss word I said. And I said I'm not cussing no more, dang it.
Okay, well at least you did.
Like, y'all stressing me out.
At least you said the F word and not, that's good.
Y'all stressing me out.
But let's get back to the topic. So
y'all stressing me out. I don't want to. Y'all got my mental health. I am triggered.
Are you anxious right now?
I'm triggered.
Are you having anxiety?
I'm having a mental health moment.
Oh,
I need counseling because they attacking me about my cuss words, even though I said I wasn't gonna cuss.
I want to talk about that because we were talking about mental health and counseling. What do you think it is why people don't like to go to counseling, or why it's such a taboo thing? Particularly, I know in Black community, it's like it was taboo. I don't know how much it is so much right now. It's kind of transitioning. But what do you think is the reasoning why it was so like we don't do therapy? And I'm generalizing Black people. I'm not saying that this is all Black people, but just for the sake of
just the stigma that kind of exists in the Black community.
Yeah. What would be your thoughts?
I don't know, honestly. I think a lot of it, all I've ever heard, and even things I've said, like that's a white people thing, right? And I still say that about certain things.
Skydiving.
It's a white people thing.
Okay, for sure.
White water rafting.
It says white.
Because only white.
It says white.
You heard that joke? Because only white people do it. But side note, shout out, I've been white water rafting. It's actually very fun.
And so is skydiving. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Well, we'll go. We'll go to the end.
I think that so much of the time in our communities, because we were always dealing with physical threats. I think the Black community, especially the descendants of slaves in this country, have often dealt with physical threats. And by physical threats, I mean something that is palpable to the five senses. You know what I mean? Like seeing it, seeing violence, being victimized physically, hearing about it, not having money in your pocket, having to work, like physical things that we've always had to work against. I think that our mental health got pushed to the back burner. And I think the reason for that is like, if you think about it, if you're constantly being victimized, yes, you're going to be sad about it, right? But you don't have time to experience or unpack that sadness because you're constantly being victimized. You know what I mean? Like, there's no space to really unpack that. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can see that. When you're constantly under a level of threat, I really feel like a level of physical threat, then yes, you're going to have sadness or depression or things about it, right? That we probably didn't characterize or even name at the time. And because of that, you don't necessarily have the time to sit back and unpack that, right?
I understand.
It's like, and we say it's a white people thing because typically white people weren't under that same physical threat, right? So they had time to be like, you know what, I'm sad. Black people was like, well, yeah, I'm always sad, but I got to get up and I have to go to work. I'm always sad, but I have to do, you know what I'm saying? But there are things that I have to do that are more pressing, right? That are a bigger priority than, my sadness or my depression. And unfortunately, a lot of Black people still live like that today, without ever unpacking what's happening in their mental health. I don't know.
I'm going to pivot off that a little bit because I think you're right with it's like when you're too busy doing stuff, you never have time to sit in the moment and kind of figure out the moment. And so I think with like mental health of the Black community, I think part of it is too, it's like, it's kind of like a taboo thing. Like it's admitting you have a problem.
For sure.
And I think that is like, it's part of it is like an ego and a pride thing. Like, I don't want to have to admit that there's a problem that I need to go get help with from a doctor, because now like it's, I'm talking bad about myself essentially. Like I couldn't do it on my own. I couldn't make it, and I wasn't strong enough. So I think maybe that could be just my perspective, and this is just my take on it.
But then what about, do you think that's, Black specific, or do you think that's male specific? Because I think even males, regardless of race, have an issue across the racial spectrum, right? Have an issue of seeking help.
And that's why the suicide is a lot higher in men versus women. I think it's like 73% of the men who try to commit suicide actually go through with it. And then like, I think in women, it's like 30 or 40%. Like it's more of like a cry for help more than like, I want to go. And more of it's like when men do, it's like, it's over, So, I don't know. I think it is a man thing, and I don't think that's necessarily a race thing.
Okay.
I think it's more of the ego of man. Part of it is like, if I admit that I am wrong, how is this going to be detrimental for me and my future or my family, or how people look at me, or how I look at myself? And then you have to admit, because going to therapy means I know I have a problem that I need to address. And honestly, at that point, do you even want to address it? Because sometimes it's easier just to bury it and keep on going. Because if you bury it, you never have to deal with it, which might be easier to do at that point in time. Because it's like, if I don't deal with it, just pressure like I normally do, I'll just move on. Just keep on going. Just go, go here, do what I got to do, get up, go to work, figure out what I got to do for the day, family, whatever, and just put it off. And I'll just deal with it another time. And that just continues to another time for days, weeks, months, and years. And then you have men that are in shambles and they're wondering why. So
except it's not something, but from what I'm hearing you say, it's not something that was just randomly brought about. It's something that has been lingering on for weeks and weeks and weeks, or months and months and months, or in some cases years and years and years, where this thing has not been right. But I never addressed it. I never felt comfortable to address it for whatever reason. And because it's continued to grow, it's gotten to a point now where it's immediate. It requires immediate attention.
It's hard. It's hard because, like, I mean, I don't know what dynamics are for women, but it's like, at least from my perspective, it's like it's a lot easier to have a conversation about your mental health being a woman. It's like it's more acceptable in society. It's more acceptable wherever you go to have like an emotional day. But I think there's still a big stigma of men being emotional.
I think
where it's like if you're too emotional, then you're weak, or classified as like a beta male, or like you're too soft, or you're too sensitive. That kind of. That barrier. I feel that for men, but from a women's perspective, I don't necessarily think that it's okay for women to be emotional. Granted, we are looked at as being more emotional as a whole, but I still think that's something that has a little bit of a stigma around it, right? Like women women aren't praised for being emotional in the workplace. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's something that's ridiculed. You know what I mean? Like, why are you being so emotional? Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Not just in the workplace, but really any area of life, right? Women are ridiculed for being emotional. So I don't think it's more acceptable for us to be emotional. If anything, I think it's the opposite of that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's the opposite of that. It's definitely, just me. I think it's the opposite of that.
That's interesting. I mean, I feel completely opposite. I really feel like
that's because you're looking at, from your perspective, you're looking at women as them being more emotional than men, right? And whether
it's okay to be more emotional. Like, it's in my head, it's like if you have a meltdown,
it's more okay for women to be emotional compared to men, right? Okay. Yeah. But not in general, right? Like if a woman is just being emotional in general, that's not okay.
I think it would.
That's not looked at as okay.
I think it would depend to the degree of emotional. Where if it's emotional, where you're falling out every day, all the time.
No, if I raise my voice at work, right? If I raise my voice at work just an octave higher than what everybody else is talking about, you know what I mean? Than the decibel that everybody else is speaking, then what happens is they're going to look at me and why are you being emotional? You know what I mean? Why are you bringing emotion into this? And you're like, I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. I'm just talking. You understand what I'm saying?
I get that.
So absolutely not. I don't think it's more accepted. I think in general, women are looked at as being more emotional, but I don't think that it's more acceptable for them. I don't want to say more acceptable. It's not acceptable for them to be emotional. So more acceptable than men, maybe, right? But like acceptable, no.
It's interesting.
Like, obviously, if both of us walk into a room, if both of us walk into a room crying, right? More attention is going to be paid to probably me, right? Because it'll be like, bro, why are you crying? Stop. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that'll be the attention that's paid to you. Like, cut it out. And then probably more people be like, hey, what's wrong? You know what I mean? So I'll get that reaction, but it's still not acceptable.
And that's I think that's what I'm saying. Acceptable, like that situation would not be acceptable for me. Would be totally acceptable for you. Like, oh, what's wrong? Let's help you and figure out. And then it's me. It's like, well, get over it.
But
you
then
see that there's a
in that
dynamic.
Yes, in that moment, yes. But after the fact, especially if we're in the workplace, then the conversation that I would have with my male supervisor or with my supervisor in general would be that I need to learn to control my emotions in the workplace. Oh. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, in the moment, everybody's going to be like, girl, you good? Let me get you a tissue, clean you up, right? But, like, after, I'm going to need you to do a better job of controlling your emotions.
But
in the workplace.
Is that particularly in the workplace with that dynamic we were talking about? Or does that translate into other realms, like outside the workplace, family, I don't know, gym? Or is it more because the workplace is kind of like
gym,
the business.
I don't know. The gym, I don't think the guy is ever going to be like, I'm going to need you to control your emotions during this workout, ma'am.
They're over here like,
why are you crying?
You know?
Yeah, it's probably encouraged. Like, oh yeah, that hurt, huh? Do another round, right? But like, I don't.
Because I think when you say the workplace, it reminds me of like a business. And then when I think of business, it's like, you don't need to be emotional when it comes to business.
Time and place.
There's a time to be emotional and there's time to handle business, and you shouldn't mix the two.
I could see that, yes.
Because sometimes your emotions will mess up your business. So in that classification, I can understand that. Okay. But outside of work, I mean, if you think of any other, I'm trying to think of another fast life. If you just talk about family, if you're talking about going on your family.
Like, so again, family is different because family is supposed to be your safe space depending on who they are. But I've been in situations with some of my girlfriends and we'll be like, all right, clean that shit up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we're going to go outside. You got 30 seconds or you got a minute. You know what I mean? Let it out when you walk out that door. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Even in friend circles. So
I can understand that. I think it's just the dynamics are. They're
different for sure. Yeah, they're different for sure. Because absolutely.
I've seen like women where like they hang out, and this is generalized, but I've seen this with movies, and I've seen it with like people that I know, and they would two girls would meet up, they would talk, and they would lay in the bed together and just like cuddle up and talk. Like it's like
I've never done that.
And I'm like, that would never happen. There's no amount of money you can give me.
I've never done
to
that.
go hang out with my homie and get in the bed and just hang out and talk and watch movies.
First of all, let me say this: I have never done that. Ever.
Okay.
Second of all, let me also say that I've never been the stereotypical girl that's like, ooh, come spend the night and like.
Yeah, it's not you.
I don't know. Maybe I'm missing a genotype. I don't know. Something was missing in my DNA, but I've never been that type of girl ever.
Okay. Like the overly like. Not emotional, but overly like
attached
like physically,
to,
like, hey, overly, come on, I need you by my side, type of thing.
Yes, the girls that like interlock arms when they're walking to show that they're besties. Like I've never. But again, part of that is because like I feel like people don't need to be close to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you hugging me for? You know what I mean?
Do you like hugs in general or not really?
Like, for why? Is there a purpose? Are we sad?
Like, you just don't like just
it's
like
not
just
that I don't
like
it. It's just like what's the purpose? Like, do I hug my friends every time I see them? No. If I haven't seen them in a while, maybe. You know what I'm saying? That's more appropriate. But like.
Were you hugged? Did you get a lot of hugs or did you hug a lot?
I'm sure I got the appropriate amount, but like even as a kid, I would be like, all right, mom, that's enough.
Okay.
Like, let me go, please. Right?
I see. Okay.
And then my mom would be like, why don't you hug me? And I'm like, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I just, that's just me.
Not a hugger. Okay.
Yeah, that's just me.
Does anybody else in your family or like that you grew up with that wasn't huggers like that? that you know of?
I feel like the bulk of my family is not like super affectionate.
Okay, gotcha.
The bulk of my family is not super affectionate. My mom has her moments. But other than that, it's like, what's up, bro? Like when I see my brother, I'd be like, what's up? Like a little side tap or maybe, or like whatever. But I'm just not, I don't see the point. You know what I mean? Like,
I see. It's interesting.
I love you, dog, but like, you don't need to hug me every time you see me. That's not necessary. It's not a requirement.
That's interesting.
But like, if we ain't seen each other in a while, then I guess it's appropriate.
It's been like months. Like, oh man, I missed you. Like, so like when
or like if I'm feeling some type of way, like emotional or any extreme, then I'll be like, you know, I'm gonna hug you. And then when I do become a hugger, like in those moments, it's awkward, right? It'll be like,
you don't know how to hug.
Yeah, like, it's awkward because then it's gonna be like, I'm gonna hug you now, right? So then I'll be like.
I never heard anybody be awkward about a hug. Like, how are we gonna?
So look, it was like,
hey, so we hi.
Me and one of my friends had like a prayer circle, right? And the prayer was super powerful and anointed and stuff. And I'm recovering a little bit, and she organized it. So I was like, that was so beautiful. Like it was beautiful. And I was like, I'm gonna hug you. And she's like, you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine, but I'm gonna hug you, right? And then I was like. She asked me like, "Are you okay?" And I was like,
what were you? Tourette's?
Are you okay?" And I'm like,
I've been like awkward.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Like I don't really feel the need to just go up to people hugging them, you know. But every now and then I'll have a good day and I'll be like, "Hey, girl," right? Like it's rare, but
next time I see you at church, I'm gonna hug you just because.
Why?
I'm like, come here, Chantel.
So then here's the thing. Church is the exception, right? Because church is like one of those things. Not during COVID season, obviously. Yeah. But it was like go around and share love. You know what I mean? Right. Hug your neighbor. In those instances, like when people be hugging real long and tight, like, oh, I missed you. I just be like, all right.
You try, you gotta get the side hug. Like, hey, how you doing? You know, real quick.
If I think you weird, I'm gonna give you a side hug. You know what I mean? Or if like I don't want you, I'll give you a side hug. But I'm always like.
You know, it's very interesting because how you're saying with your dynamics of your family didn't really, it wasn't affection like that. I don't think, looking back, I don't think it was for me, but I think like a part of me really desired that. Like I wanted more affection like that, which is weird because like I'm a dude, you know, so it's like kind of like counterintuitive for the normal like stigma of men to want affection like that. But honestly, I like it. I think it's nice. I mean, not too much, but I think it was something that I like now I do more because I felt like I didn't do it a lot when I was a kid.
So are you super affectionate with Autumn?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. I'm
super, because like I think I want her to understand that I care and it's okay to show it. And if she doesn't, that's totally fine too. But I kind of like, not that I overdo it, but I do it much more than I was when I was a kid, and I want to really to show like it's okay to be sensitive, and that's totally fine.
I think Autumn's kind of a daddy's girl. Like, would you agree?
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. So for her, she's like, daddy, right?
Yeah,
so like for her, she's probably like eating that shit up.
I love it too. Like every time she's like, "Dad, I just want to give you." One time she said, she's like, started crying. I'm like, "Why are you crying?" She's like, "These are tears of joy because I love you so much." I said, I almost started bawling. Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, this is one of the moments in my life I would never forget. Like I knew as it happened, like this is the moment I'm never gonna forget. I was like, it almost made me cry. I almost started crying, and I was just like, "Wow, like, I love this kid. I love this kid."
That's
but like
beautiful.
so like when a kid would just come to you and do that, that means something way different than me like, "Hey, what's up? I love you. I love you too." You know, it's like he's just saying it. But I don't know. I think I was looking for that more, and I think now as I've gotten older and gotten more comfortable with myself, I've been able to. Just I guess be more emotional man. I'm kind of like more of an emotional man than the average person that at least I know from my experience. So it's just been kind of weird because it was like people didn't really know how to take me. Right.
I can understand that because on one hand, like I'm super sensitive and I have like a big heart, so like I'll do anything for anyone. You know what I mean? And then I'm also can come off like if you don't know me, like very like.
Yeah, like wall guard, like not guarded, but like a
no guarded.
Cool.
Yeah, guarded's a good word. Like we're cool. I don't have nothing against you, but you don't know me. You know what I mean?
I'm not
type
gonna let
situation.
You in like that unless.
Yeah, so I can see those. I can see it's kind of like a wide dynamic. Like
why do you feel like you're so guarded off the front? Or what do you think you project that makes you seem like you're guarded?
Because I'm not like I'm awkward. in like new situations. Like I'm awkward when I first meet people. Okay. You know what I mean? Like if I don't know you, right, and we don't have anything to talk about, I'm really bad at small talk. I'm really bad at like pretending to care about a really stupid, dare I say, conversation. You know what I mean? Like most people engage with like small talk extremely well. Like I think it's an art to be like, oh yeah, and then the ficuses, and then it was really great, and then the sun, and then I was like, oh my goodness, did you feel the earthquake, and blah blah blah, right? And then like Patsy, like small talk about anything, right?
Okay.
And I'm just like, oh,
well, I don't know what to say. Like
exactly,
really?
I don't have a response to that. I don't. In fact, like conversations like that get on my nerves. I will talk to you for hours about something, right? And I will talk to a stranger about something specific. Like, what are we talking about? But if we're just about to engage in this 30-minute conversation about nothing, I can't. It's draining. It's exhausting. So because of that, people are like, oh, well, she's just... And it's
standoffish or something, or...
It's not, but like getting caught in those conversations is awkward. I don't like it.
I see.
That's what it is, honestly. Like,
so it's more awkward for you?
Yes. And it's hard to engage in conversations about, real life tangible things with people you don't know well. You know what I'm saying? Like with the people that you really don't know, like your coworkers and stuff that you're not super tight with or that you don't work with closely all the time. It's small talk.
Yeah.
Water cooler chat.
But
in the break rooms, waiting on the microwave, like, hey, oh yeah, that was.
But isn't that
just eating chicken. Like it's just.
But do you think that small talk is appropriate to build a relationship or to build rapport with somebody?
I think it's a placeholder. I think small talk is an excellent placeholder to use until you feel comfortable enough with the person to talk about the real stuff, right? Like it's an introductor. It's an introduction to one another. Have you ever
went from no small talk to straight like deep talk or like harder conversations up front? Like for example, say you just met somebody today and they're kind of giving you small talk. Have you ever tried to just get to, let's have a real conversation about some stuff right now and just kind of just to throw it to see where they're at?
I've never initiated it. I won't.
Really?
I won't initiate it, which is another reason why I come across as like awkward in those situations or standoffish. Cause it's not that I'm being rude, but I don't have anything to say on this topic. You know what I mean? Okay. Like I don't have a thought about it one way or the other. I'll engage just to be extremely polite, but even that is taxing for me because it doesn't come natural. You understand what I'm saying? Like coming up with something to say in this moment when I don't have any thoughts on it or I really don't have anything to say, coming up with something is taxing because I'm like,
it's like, you said it's like an art form, and it's really funny because
it is.
I can do small talk really. I can do small talk easily, like really well.
I have a friend,
but it's not taxing for me at all.
It's for some people it's not. I have a friend, and we joke about this all the time, because she's a Scorpio, and I guess it's like a Scorpio trait. I don't really know because I'm not into signs like that, but they say like certain traits are related to certain signs, but. You can talk to this person. You can literally talk to her for an hour and a half and not know anything about her.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
She is a pro at it. You can talk to her for 2 hours, not know anything about her. It was a totally pleasant conversation, right? And she walks away from it like she gets on my nerves. And I'm like, bitch, how? Right? Like,
cuss. You can. I told you guys. I knew it. I knew you couldn't do it. I knew it. See that? I haven't cussed yet. Okay, I haven't cussed yet. No N-word. No cuss. I almost didn't catch it. It was real quick.
I tried so hard.
I almost didn't catch it. I'm not gonna lie. I almost didn't catch it. Ding. There's a one. I'm gonna put a ding in there just so you know. No. Okay. So, but the small talk. I
hate you.
No. You know what's? I have a friend who's just like that, and he told me he's like, I hate small talk, and I'm like, why? He's like, I just don't see the point. That just don't like see the point of having like a surface fake conversation. But the other side of me, how I feel about it, is like you kind of need that to build to see if this is a person you want to talk to more. So kind of, it's kind of like you give a little bit and see. But me, the way I do, I'm just really open. So like as soon as I meet you, I'm like, all right, we're just gonna talk and we're just gonna talk about stuff. Like doesn't matter. We're just going to talk the weather. Where are you from?
So the weather is small talk?
No, the weather could be small talk. Yeah, how's the weather? Good. But I don't usually say that. Usually I'm like, hey, so what's going on?
How's the weather?
Like we were in California together. We drove to the same place.
Hot in November.
No, but what I do, I usually start asking questions like, oh, where are you from? And they say, oh, I'm from here. I'm like, oh, I'm from here. Oh, I used to go here, da-da-da. Where'd you go to?
And the best.
And then da-da-da-da-da.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay,
the best people are good with those questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like getting to know somebody.
And if people ask me those questions, again, like if somebody is moving the conversation from small talk to that, like, oh, where did you go to school? What about this? What about this? I will talk your ear off, right? Like I will talk all day, right? And be extremely open in those conversations. But you
don't ever initiate that.
No, because I don't know how. I just said that. Like I won't know. Like I'll just be like.
So this is what you can't. Okay. So this is an option that I do. I just ask like where you're from. What did you do before this? So say if it's like a coworker that I just met. I've done this numerous times.
It's gonna look like I'm autistic remembering a list, right? I'm gonna be like,
no,
so where are you from?
You're like, hold on.
Right? And then I'm trying to remember the
What's
list.
your last name?
I swear.
How are you? It's like, wait a minute, bro, what do you mean?
I swear in new situations, I come off as like a mute autistic. Like,
he's like, yes. How are you doing today? Fine. Like, I'm not talking to her. I just met somebody.
Seriously, like, what is wrong with, like, it's funny because I have had friends that I'm really cool with and they know me and they be like, oh, Chantel, she good people. Like, once people know me, that's usually what they say, right? And then they'll bring like somebody new to the group and I swear I say dumb stuff. Like, I say dumb stuff and then I just be like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't. I promise I don't. They be like, funny. She just... like where did it go? What happened? You were just so charming and funny and all of this stuff.
And now you're just mute. What happened?
Yeah, what happened to you? What happened? 5
minutes ago, you were the life of the party, and now I don't even know who you are. Like, what's going on here?
Because the people I know, like, I don't have to filter what it is that I'm about to say. I can just speak, right? And because of that, there's no guard, if you will, right? But newer people I don't know that well, then I'm constantly thinking about what it is that I should say, and the thought between like what I should say and that connection to my mouth, it gets messed up.
So would you say you have some sort of anxiety when it comes to small talk?
Not anxiety, because I avoid it. Like I'll participate
so if you
for
have to be, you're fine.
30 seconds, and then I'm like, all right, bye, or I won't.
I had someone who was really standoff. It was getting on my nerves. It was getting on my nerves.
I despise it.
I kept so like I'm giving them a ride because we were all going to my house, and so I was giving them a ride, and I was like, "Hey man, so what's going on?" Because I don't know him. I've only talked to this person like one other time for like 2 minutes, and it's somebody's brother. So like I know you, but your brother I don't know. Now we're riding together in the car, okay?
And you're just like,
and we're going like a 20-minute drive. So I'm not gonna sit here and just blast music. We're gonna talk. So I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? Like, so where are you from?
You're that guy. We're going to talk. And I'm definitely the one with the music on, like, too.
So I'm like, where are you from? He's like, where are you from? Where I'm from? AZ. I'm like, oh, okay, for sure. Like, what do you do? What do I do? So one thing I noticed, he would repeat my question every time and then answer very smallly. And I'm like, what do you do? Nothing, man, right now. What do you mean nothing? No, nothing. I'm like, what?
No, nothing.
Okay, what did you do before? Stuff. I'm like, you are making this really. You're honing my skills.
Do you ever take the hint and turn the music back on?
No, I'll keep going.
Because I will one word somebody to death when I don't want to talk.
I'll keep going.
I'll be like, I'm good. Straight.
I'll keep going until I exhausted every single measure.
Bye. They'd be like, oh, hey, good morning. I'd be like, good morning. Right? Because then people want to like, especially at work. Like, work is where this happens the most. People that want to small talk you to death before they get to why they came to you, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, hey, girl, good morning. I'd be like, good morning.
Like, okay, what do you want? Just tell me what you want.
Yes,
like
and that's how I am, but I can't say that, right? Because then I'm for sure a butthole, right?
Oh, good job.
So then, because then I'm for sure like, you know what I mean, a butthole. So rude, I come off extremely rude and jerkish. So, hey, girl, good morning. Good morning. Oh, girl, what was you doing? Do you have breakfast? Yeah. Oh, I see you wearing a dress.
Look.
Mm-hmm. Like,
okay. So let's role play. Let's role play because I'm gonna show you what this is how a person.
No, it's not. It's not gonna come off natural because I talk to you all the time.
Yeah, I know, but I'm gonna role play so you have things you can go to. Let's do it again. They'll ask me the questions. I can come say something. So you need something. You're gonna BS me, right? Go ahead.
I'm not gonna BS you. I'm gonna be like, hey, when you get a moment, can you do X, Y, and Z? I'm just not the type. Like I'm just not the type.
I'm like,
hey, you good? like there's so many times where like I will skip a greeting altogether and be like, hey, boom, 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 boom. And then I'll be like, oh shoot, that was rude. I'm sorry. I've told you that's where the autism comes out. Cause like you gotta be like, say good morning. And then you'll be like, oh, hey,
say
good morning.
Good and morning together at the same time.
Like,
good morning. You're like, huh?
And that's just the way it's I have to remember to greet people. Like I do. Like I'll walk in and I'll be like, bye friends, or hey friends, like real quick, and that's it. You know what I mean? But for a long time, like I remember I would get in trouble because like one thing that you don't do, right, in black houses is you do not enter a black house and not speak to people.
Yeah, that's what you get. You do have to say what's up, like, hey,
you
what's
don't.
Up? Hey.
You do not enter a black house.
That's super rude.
And not
that's
speak
super rude.
and not speak to everybody in the house.
Yeah, that is
right?
definitely rude.
So like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like,
I'm not trying to talk to you either. Like, I'm not trying to be rude. But
I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't want to, because then you got to go, well, oh, how's school? What'd you learn? Blah, blah, blah. And even as a kid, I didn't want to participate in that, right? Like, I've been the same for 30 years, right? Okay. Even as a kid, I didn't want to participate in those conversations. So I would avoid it. You know what I mean?
I see.
So I would get in trouble a lot. Like, don't ever, you know what I mean? Don't ever walk into somebody's house and not say what's up. So as I've gotten older, the autism, like, has adapted that principle, right? Good morning.
Like, hi, good morning. Bye.
Hi.
You just run off.
Right.
No, honestly, maybe it is a skill. I mean, I guess I've kind of always had it naturally. I just didn't understand it. But now, like you saying this, and the more I'm thinking about it, it's kind of like dancing. It's like it's very similar to dancing. Like when you go to tango to somebody, it's like you kind of read their moves and you kind of adapt and adjust. So like the conversation you're having before, like, oh hey, what's up? Like, oh nice dress. Oh thank you. Like, appreciate that. Oh, so what can I do for you? That's how you segue into getting straight to the point without being rude.
Nope.
Like, thank you so much. I like your dress too. So what can I do for you today? Like, what do you need?
I don't know why. It sounds simple, but I don't know why my brain doesn't think to put together words in that manner. Right?
Maybe you don't do it enough.
Somebody will ask me like 12 questions, like 12 small talk questions, right? And I know that you do not give a flying fart about my answer.
Your miscussing is way worse than the cussing. Like, it's like the words like are just way. I'm sorry, it's so much more detrimental than the actually cuss word. Like a fart, really, Chantel. Like as many words you could think of, you come with fart. Like. You guys, okay, can you guys help her? Give her some words to say when she's not trying to cuss, because she is clearly
Please help
not
me.
skilled in this. Her small talk, I see why. It's coming out right now. This is horrible. Like, this is just, I'm distraught right now. Like, I can't do this.
I only get articulate when I have something to say. I don't know what it is.
You could come and hit, like, a camera in front of you, boom, 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 hit, heavy hitters, boom. And then
that's
it's like,
only when I have something to say. Like, if it's 50-50 what I'm about to say, like, I don't know.
I respect it.
Stop calling me out, man.
It's funny. Call me out. You call me out every time. You lost that one. Are you gonna say I'm right again? All right, yeah. Don't hate the play. Don't hate the play. Hate the game.
I do solemnly swear to not say cuss words, and I did pretty good on this show.
You did. You did one, but it's okay. You did good. Honestly, much better than the last few.
I said 2. Excuse me. I said 2.
Okay, my bad.
I'm doing better.
But with small talk, it is what it is. I think it is art, though. I think it's something you just kind of have to.
It's for sure tough.
The more you do it, the better you get accustomed to. I'm not saying you're gonna be the greatest in the world, but you could probably develop your skills more.
I don't want to.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I don't
just
want
saying.
to.
Okay.
I don't want that skill. I mean, I would like to learn how to wield a sword. Like, that's a skill that I would want.
Whoa!
But like,
I'm thinking literally wield a sword. I'm like, wait, what? Like, are you trying to fence?
Yeah, like a sword, like a samurai.
Really?
Like a sword. I think that would be like a super cool skill to learn. But like learning how to small talk doesn't interest me.
Okay, well, okay, that's okay. That's fine.
I mean,
all right. So back to this mental health stuff, because I think clearly there were some issues that we kind of unpacked a little bit.
My mental health is in the area of small talk.
That's okay. We all have our issues. I currently don't have any. Thank you right now. Just for this moment, I have nothing.
Lies.
What?
Liar.
I have no issues right now.
Liar.
Let me think.
Liar.
I want to unpack.
We all got issues.
No, I have issues, but I don't have currently anything that's pressing at least at this moment. I think still sometimes I struggle with like inadequacy of being a man. Sometimes it still is something that like my eyes start to twitch. I can already feel it. See, something that is like really. Wow, you were really going there. Okay, when I get nervous,
because you called out my cousin.
Wow, you went that was deep. I mean, cussing is one thing, but bro, you hit me on. Wow, I told her off podcast. I told her like when I get uncomfortable, my eye twitches when I'm nervous. She over here. Just hitting me, bro. Man.
I'm sorry.
Let me not talk. I'm not unpacking my bag.
I'm sorry. I take it back.
I can't be sensitive. I can't express my feelings. See what happens when you express your feelings as a man? See that? Nah. But no, I do sometimes.
I'm sorry. I take it back.
Nah, but I sometimes do struggle. Because sometimes it's like, I don't know. Like I'm a different type of man.
Where do you think that comes from? Like where do you think that comes from?
I guess like seeing other men like not seem as emotional and not seem like, or they can keep their like they can have a conflict and not cry was something that was really difficult for me when I was a kid, because like every time my feelings would hurt, I got hurt, I would cry. Every time I got into a fight, I would cry. Not during the fight, but right after. As soon as I'm done fighting, I will walk away and I'd be sobbing because I'm like, and my emotions were just hurt. Even if I won.
Yeah.
I got beat up this kid in 6th grade twice, and I cried both times. And after
you whooped his butt,
I beat him up into the urinal, and then I felt bad, and I apologized, pulled him out, but then I went home, I got into the car, and I started crying.
The fact that you apologized is amazing.
Like, but honestly, he deserved it, but honestly, he was a smaller dude, but I mean, you talk too much crap. But anyway, but I think sometimes I still struggle with that. I think it's just, I think the part of it is like the
stereotypical part. Yeah,
and the sensitivity that comes with it. And then like now I'm learning like conflict. I don't have to fight everybody physically. So now I'm trying to recalibrate my brain to feel like, okay, so what's the happy medium where you're not too sensitive to man, where you look like a softy or too sensitive or not strong enough, but then not detrimental to where I don't express my feelings at all. Like what's that balance, So
let me tell you this, and granted, take it with a grain of salt because I'm not a man and I've never been one.
Okay. It's good.
But my opinion, what I will say is that I think that men are, there are a subsect of men that are sensitive, right? Like to say that no men are sensitive is stupid. But I think there are sensitive men, and I think that there are emotional men more than we think, right? Just because the way that they express it is different, right? You feel some type of way because of the way that you express yours, right? When other men express it, they end up in jail. You know what I'm saying? Especially black men. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or with this hyper masculinity thing. And I really think that that's wrapped in an emotional response. You understand what I'm saying?
Agree.
Like, I think that stems from an emotional response. So the way that you express your emotions and the way I guess that the stereotypical male expresses their emotion, in my opinion, it's just the same thing. And I think that the way you do it is healthier, right? Because the way the way you do it is just you, right? When the way that most stereotypical male express their emotions means they're expressing it or taking it out on somebody else. You see what I'm saying?
I do. With like aggression or violence.
With aggression, with
or like
violence.
Putting you in your place to kind of like mask the
yelling,
part that got hurt.
Yes, with vibrato, with yelling, with aggression, with violence, with fighting, with, you know what I mean? So I think that's what I think.
And those are stereotypical traits,
Right.
But it is hard because there is still a stigma of that.
For sure.
I mean,
Absolutely.
no matter where you go, like I'm using this for example, so don't kill me, people. It's like when you're a sensitive man, it comes across as a homosexual man. Yes. To some degree, not all like homosexual men are like feminine, but there's a line where if you're too sensitive, you may be thought of as a homosexual,
right?
To some degree. So it's like, and then it's like, so if you're not a homosexual, and you don't want to identify as a homosexual, then where do you find the balance of where you're too sensitive, or people think you're homosexual, but then not enough, and then you're like inside hurting all the time, and so that's like the.
I think it manifests in this hyper masculinity that we see, especially in the black community with black men. I think that, I think it's tough. Like,
with especially the black community, and I see it with the roles of men and women with us and stuff. I think that's a big deal because we had this discussion before how black women had to be strong to some degree because the men were out of the house and we're gone. So you gotta have to take over a lot of roles and stuff that you didn't necessarily want. And you were saying like, but after that point, it's not like I'm asking to do this. I have to do this. That you were saying, and so I think like it's hard for a man to come in after that and then try to reestablish himself as the head, because it's like it's like the part of it is like I think maybe it could be the masculinity already feels like rocky because of the fact like, okay, these women are strong and I'm feeling a certain way because I don't feel like I'm that strong. And then on top of it, now I'm trying to like over dominate to overcompensate for the fact that I feel inadequate, which comes across as like demeaning you or putting you down, or telling you like you need to listen to me or submit, those kind of like toxic traits, and I think it's like a overcompensating mechanism because you feel so inadequate, which I can feel there's a lot of men maybe are out there that do feel that way.
Or think about the conditions that were in place in society, especially for black men, that when they stepped out into the world, the world made them feel that way.
Yeah.
Just the color of their skin, the interactions that they had to have to find a job, to keep a job, so to speak, right? To go out there and to have to beg essentially to take care of your family. I think that plays a role in that feeling, right? Of inadequacy, because the world is very hard on black men. The world is very, very hard on black men.
Yeah.
And I think black men internalize that. But again, the world is extremely hard on black men. It's very hard on black men, very hard, because it puts them in a box, and any movement or expression outside of this box is less than, it's frowned upon. Like you said, it's gay, right? So imagine how many black men or little black boys grew up knowing that like there's this overcompensated, overinflated manly, right? Masculinity that I don't really identify with. You understand what I'm saying? But if I don't identify with that, then somehow I'm this, right? Then somehow I'm gay, right?
Yeah, it's either like you're gay or you're hyper masculine.
Like there's no middle ground.
Yeah.
And to think about that, to grow up in that environment, right? A little boy. And then if you're growing up in that environment, then the people who came before you are going to say, oh man, you know what I mean? You feminine. You know what I mean? You acting like a little girl.
Which is a huge insult.
You're acting like a little girl, right? Like, and that none of that stuff is true. Like we have to stop talking to our boys like that, right? Yeah. And then we have to understand the ways that the world has played a part in shaping the way that our men feel about themselves. Yeah. And then we have to do our best, I think, as black women to kind of reinstate and speak to the king inside of, right? Speak to the you that you really are, right? Not the overinflated you, not the overcompensating you. You know what I'm saying? Not the inadequate feeling version of you, but who you are, and build that up, right? So that when you get ready to go into a world that is hell-bent on beating you down, you have something else inside of you that I think that can come from a woman, and I think that comes from God. No, honestly,
it's making me emotional because like thinking about this, it's like, it's crazy. Like, wow, like it's hard. As you're saying it, it's like the feelings are really coming up. Like, it is hard to deal with. It's hard to not have a medium. Where it's like you're either feminine or you're overly masculine, and there's no middle to have even a discussion, to have your feelings like let out or even talked about, or even if you talk about your feelings, someone tell you, oh, leave it alone, or let it go. Who gives a gives a crap, whatever. Like, your feelings don't even matter. So, and I'm just trying to be emotional, but it is like it's a thing I think that a lot of men are suffering with. Absolutely. A lot of grown men, grown men
are like our, like our black men. Like we gotta.
It sucks. It sucks. It sucks, and it's not to say that this stuff isn't happening to women as well, But I think there is a gap. There's a
different target on black men, and I know oftentimes like women want to throw themselves into, the plight of black people. I would say the plight of black people as a whole, but it's different. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's very, very different, right? The way that black men specifically have been victimized.
It's like there's no.
It's its own separate trauma, right? We have a shared experience and a shared trauma, but I think black men and even black women have their own separate trauma that can't be addressed
Yeah.
That sometimes can't be addressed together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it shouldn't have to be addressed together, right? Feminism talked about, our issues, white women's issues, right? They didn't address their issues with their men, you know what I mean? In conjunction with their men. And I think that men should have that same platform, especially black men should have that same platform. You can't address your issues in conjunction with the everybody else's issues, right?
Yeah,
you can't address your trauma that way.
100%. I think it's when you were saying like men get victimized, it's like, not that it's laughable, but it's like that's still like it still sounds so foreign to even hear. Like, did they even think? Even myself, even I was victimized for a lot of things that I wasn't even realizing at the time. But even me to even like I'm victimized, it sounds like such like a. I don't want to say that. Like, I don't want to say as a man I'm a victim. I really like.
Right.
I'm supposed to be the predator, not the victim.
Right.
You know.
But then the idea that you're supposed to be the predator is like.
I'm not saying. Yeah. You know.
Why?
It's like if I had to choose one, I'd rather be the predator. But I don't want to be a predator.
Like,
you know
why?
what I mean?
I'm like, but why?
It sounds so
Sorry,
bad.
I just didn't understand. I was like, why do you have to be a predator?
It's just like it's either you're a victim, you're prey, or you're eaten. You know. That's
I was like, why?
But it's just it sounds so foreign because I heard there are women that are starting to speak about men's rights to kind of give it more of like a push, but
that's not a woman's job.
I know, but they're just bringing more awareness to the fact that there are men that are suffering that get victimized as well. But it's still hard. It's still hard to talk about, even as a man who is emotional, and I do understand. It's still hard for me, and I'm someone who talks a lot, as more than the average man.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just I can imagine who dudes out there who just are way more distraught than me and have nowhere to place it because everything around him is like hyper masculine, or you're a woman, and like it's like
you're a woman.
Oh yeah, and it's like that's an insult. Like, as a man, don't call me.
Those
it's
are
like,
the only
it's like,
two extremes.
It's like if a woman and someone calls you like a man, it's a very offensive thing to say.
Yeah.
So it's especially for like a man to be called a woman, it's extremely offensive. You know, just like it's taking your whole masculinity into play.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
So I didn't mean to get that emotional. Sorry, that was a lot.
No, it's powerful. I think there are far more males who agree with every sentiment that you just expressed, but don't feel free enough to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and hopefully listening to things like this let you know that, hey, it's a shared experience.
You're
right?
not alone.
You're not alone. It's a shared experience. And like the only black man that I really know bringing attention to mental health is I listen to The Breakfast Club. So I hear Charlamagne talk about it. He's like, that's not good for my mental health. Yeah. Right. And he says that all the time, but when he says it, he's serious. Like,
yeah, he's not joking around. It's like, this is not good for me.
Yes.
100%.
And then to be able to identify that, break it down, unpack it, identify it, and then move forward in a much more powerful way. Like, when we unpack these things, we're able to move forward in a much more powerful way. You know what I mean? We're able to move forward in the best as the best version of ourselves. You know what I mean? And we're able to create more. We're able to help more. We're able to build more, right? And for our black men specifically, that's the key. We have to figure out a way to help them move forward in a much more powerful way, right? And that comes with unpacking certain things that unfortunately it's taboo for men to talk about.
Yeah, and it sucks because it's hard, but I realize like what I'm learning now is like the more that I guess we talk about it, it will, in time, it's going to get easier. And I feel like even this podcast today, it was hard for me to really go there because it was like there was a part of me that still was kind of reserved to some degree, a little bit until the tears come. But it's like I don't know. My emotions are everywhere right now. But it's like it's really hard to tap into this, especially like I'm on camera. Yeah. Like, it's like I'm vulnerable to the world. I'm not vulnerable just my friend. Like I'm vulnerable to everybody. And like it's scary to think watching, like this will be judged. I will be judged because of this. But it's like I have to take the judgment in order for everybody else to get better as well. To have this conversation is more important than to take for the judgments of people.
And the people that are gonna judge this, like, are, in my opinion, are honestly the people who are too afraid to do this work for themselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just too afraid to do the work for themselves. Right. I
still don't like crying. I mean, I'm probably never gonna like crying, but I cry sometimes.
I cry all the time. Often.
But yeah, this was interesting turn of events today for mental health.
Shout out to Mental Health Month. Like, seriously, take some time, figure out your self-care routine, what you need to do to take care of you, right? And what that practice looks like. Not the kids, not the husband, not, not the job, not the business. Figure out what it is that you need to do to take care of you and implement those things into your daily routine if you can, your weekly routine if you can, whenever you can, try to get those things in.
Yeah, and start prioritizing your mental health. You know, like I think that's something that is not expressed enough in today's day and age, but like I think you really need to be mindful and to honestly take time as much as you can, every day if you can, to check in with yourself and like see what's going on with your mental health. Like see, are you okay mentally? Are you struggling today? And then be honest, you know.
Where am I at?
Yeah, because I didn't expect this to happen today, but it's we have a lot to talk about.
It's just like so powerful what a safe space can produce. You know what I mean? Like a really like a truly safe space can produce. Yeah. And I think for men that typically comes in the form of a woman. I don't know why. Like, would you agree?
Yeah, because I like after like so many years, then I can talk to my woman now. Right. Like, I can tell her this crazy stuff and like and she's a woman that does accept me. I've been with another woman, it was a total opposite. Right. Then you find a woman who is, it's like, wow, this is what this could have been like this whole time. Yeah. Like, you know, I had someone to talk to and they're not judging me for the craziest stuff I thought was crazy.
Right. The shit that you thought was just like, out of this world. Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I think we need that. I think women need that and men need that too. Where we don't need to be judged by everybody, but just a place. And I think this is really what this podcast is mainly for. For sure. Like to get this. Because it's hard, you know? It's hard for both of us. Absolutely. It's hard for both of us, for men and women in this society, you know? It's hard. It's like if you express yourself, then people can say like, oh, well, like you're doing too much. If you had a bad day. The advice for yourself, you're too sensitive. So either way, it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't, then you suffer inside. Exactly. And if you do, then you suffer on the outside. Everybody else. Either way. So it's like at this point, I'd rather y'all say something, well, I'm not suffering on the inside. But yeah, this is good.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we got to wrap it up because we got like literally 5 minutes left, and yeah, my emotions are done.
On that note, make sure that you like, you comment, and you subscribe to this episode. Subscribe.
What are you trying to say?
You subscribe to the channel. You subscribe.
You just subscribe and you know, crab cakes.
Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, please subscribe. Thank you so much.
He's gonna edit that out. It's not gonna sound like that.
No, it'll be just like this. You know, one thing I do love about the podcast is it's raw. Even like I'm not taking nothing. It's all gonna be here, so it's okay.
Put it all in there, yo.
You know, but thank you. I'm so glad you are here and a part of this journey. And, you know, I hope that we continue to keep on producing this type of content. And next week, we're going to go deeper into packing Chantel's bag about other issues you may have. Okay. We'll see if you...
We're going to unpack my bag. I feel like my bag is empty.
All right, cool.
Bag is
honestly,
empty.
I feel a lot lighter right now. I ain't got nothing, y'all. I got a bag right here. No trip.
Bag is empty. Rocking the Merce today. I see you rocking the Merce.
A Merce? Excuse you?
It's not a Merce.
This is a utility bag, okay?
It's a Merce.
No, bro. It's a utility bag. Purse. No, it's not. It's
rocking the Merce.
First of all, you see this slim profile.
He said it's a utility.
Amazon, $17. I put the link in the description.
It's a utility bag.
You know, I got everything. I got men's. I got charged. Honestly, I see why women have dude, having this little bag, you're low key, like, yo, you keep a lot of stuff. Okay, another one I'm gonna get a hit on right here. This is gonna be a hit for me for sure. A Merce now. But this is utility bag,
rocking the Merce.
Four bags, 4 pockets, sunglasses, everything I need. So, you know, get yourself a utility bag.
Put your Merce away, please.
A utility bag, all right? So until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys got some value from this. And if so, go ahead and share this with anybody you know who may need to have another discussion about this. And I thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time on Unpack Your Bag Podcast, episode 28. I'll see you in the next one. Peace, love, and hair grease. Talk to y'all soon. See ya. Scala.
How you feeling? How you living? All right. Yeah. How you feeling? How you chilling? All right. Well, all right. From the floor to the ceiling, everyone in the building, if you're feeling all right. Well, all right.